All right, what's up, everybody? We are about to go live here, talking with Forever Hunter. I'm gonna give him a call. This will be our first time here, so let's see how this goes.
Hello?
Hey, is this Briggs?
Yes, it is.
Forever Hunter, man. How are you? My name's Pete.
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well, man. Appreciate you setting this up and making it happen.
All right.
So cool, man. So I think we just kind of just start having a discussion, man. I think
Okay,
let's just go with that.
All right.
So let me just ask this: how did you find my channel here?
I have been searching around on YouTube Shorts, and I have found a lot of your shorts on hunting. You know.
Okay, cool. So came across some of content, and did you? What did you disagree with anything that you saw?
Well, uh, not anything specifically, but I feel like nowadays a lot of people see hunting as cruel, which is understandable. I mean, you kill an animal while you're doing it, but it's all about perspective, like there's one guy who his name is Steven Ranella. He said when somebody comes to him and says that they don't want human hunting, they say, from what perspective, Am I making sense here?
A little bit. I mean, let me just give you a little background because I've again, I've never hunted. I didn't grow up with hunting. My parents,
Right,
family
yeah.
didn't hunt. I could totally understand, and I've had buddies that their brother and their family hunted, and I understand. I understand that it's a family thing. It's a bonding. I think that makes sense. But as far as let's kind of level the playing field here. Let me ask: Do you think it's necessary to hunt?
Well, of course not. But the thing is, there's a lot of unnecessary things in this world that we can live without, but we choose to live with it, either for health, pleasure, all these things. And I'm sorry for moving away from it, kinda, but we'll go back to this guy, Steven Ranella.
Okay.
He said, trying to remember what he said. He said something on the lines of that. He said, I'm not gonna lie and say without hunting, I wouldn't be able to eat. I would eat just fine, right? But spiritually, I'd feel starved. And in a way, that's I feel like that might be hard to understand for someone, especially someone who didn't grow up with hunting.
Okay, so you mentioned spiritually. So what Christian, I imagine, or religion? I mean,
Uh, I'm somewhere along the lines of Christian, yes.
okay. So obviously, and you talk up. I mean, Christ and the Bible, and that's kind of your, what you go by.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let me ask, what do you think that killing animals is Christ-like, or follows, what Christ or what the Bible would want us to do?
Well, in the Bible, in Genesis, I can look it up right now. In the book of Genesis, God gives us dominion over the animals. But I do agree with you. I don't think that means we can do whatever we want to them. Like, a lot of hunters, the main reason they get into hunting is because they hate factory farming. You know, they hate the way they treat animals in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both can agree. Factory farming and what we do to the animals on a, I
Yeah,
mean, daily
definitely.
basis is terrible. So, do you go out to restaurants and buy food from the store that come from factory farms?
For the most part, I definitely try not to,
Hmm.
but there is times when I will um either run out of hunted meat or I'm just away from home, so I don't have that meat with me, you know?
Okay.
But when that happens, I'll either try to buy like pasture raised, organic, that type of stuff.
Okay, and is that strictly for, health reasons?
Uh, kinda, but it's also like with the whole factory farming thing, you know?
Okay, so I mean, you obviously you think that there's a difference between, you know, animals that are factory farm versus animals that are hunted.
Right, yes.
Okay, what are those different? Like, what do you think that those differences are, other than the species?
Well, with factory farmed animals, they are confined into these tiny, tiny spaces with little to no room to be themselves, and they're artificially inseminated. They're in carbon dioxide gas chambers. It's awful. I'll agree with you on that. And with hunted animals, they have this whole mountain range, hill range to graze on and explore and be themselves. And they can breed with whoever they want. And also, the thing is, with hunted animals, I feel like something that a lot of people don't realize is they don't die of old age in the wild. Like, it's either they're gonna starve to death, they're gonna be eaten by a mountain lion, stuff like that.
Okay, so you think that you're actually doing, like you're doing a favor, or you're helping the animal out by killing them and causing a less, call it a less painful death than they are in the wild. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say helping out. Like, it's not the reason that I hunt to save them from a more painful death, but like the statement that a bullet or arrow is favorable to dying from starvation and mountain lions and wolves is just a fact, you know?
Yeah, I think I would agree. But you couldn't, the animals that you shoot and kill, like you can't just say that, okay, that animal was going to be killed by a mountain lion or going to have a very gruesome, painful death. So I think how vegans think, I mean, as far as, animal rights, I mean, we're taking away the animal's rights to live, right? Just like we're doing it in
Right.
factory farming. I mean, you're deciding to go out and take away that animal's life.
I see. Yes.
So, and it's not, I mean, I understand if a mountain lion or a bear is coming after you, and, you got to obviously defend yourself, right? Now, there's no
Right.
issue. I mean, you're not, that's a right violation they're trying to take away your rights. So, in a sense, we're looking at it from the animal's perspective. And if you can look at it from the animal's perspective, It's like, well, you wouldn't want to be shot at or someone taking your life just because they thought or think that you're going to have a gruesome death, or you're going to we're going to put you out of your misery, so it's actually going to be better for you, right? I mean, you can't. That's really. I don't think that that's a good enough justification to go ahead and take that animal's life. Would you agree?
Yes, but the thing is, I feel like you're saying it in a way that makes it feel like I that's the reason why I hunt, which it's not. I hunt because the meat I hunt is healthy, it's free range, and it helps the ecosystem. Like a lot of wildlife biologists use hunting as a tool to help uh not it's like let me find a way to explain this. It's like you don't want a species number to get too high, otherwise plant species will go down. It'll decrease the species of other animals by competition, stuff like that.
So you're saying, I mean, the reason why you hunt is for population control, or what?
Well, that's part of it, but the main reason I hunt is for the meat. When I when I harvest an elk, that elk will last me meat for a year, year and a half, a very long time.
Okay, but you you can choose to not kill that animal and eat other things.
Right.
And so it
I see
seems,
what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it just comes down to it's not necessary to do that.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So it's
I see what
tough.
you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough for me to justify. I mean, and that's the reason why the main reason why I quit eating animals is because there's no good justification to take another animal's life when you don't have to.
Right, right,
So we grow up in this society, in this culture where it's eating meat, and what we do to animals is really not talked about. It's not seen. And so what we see is this nice pretty package or this nice burger that we order from the fast food restaurant, and it's out of sight, out of mind. What I do respect is, I mean, those the people that can actually kill an animal and take that animal and harvest that animal. And I find that very, something that I couldn't do. And I think a lot of people would agree that they couldn't go out and actually kill an animal. You couldn't,
right.
and I don't know how many animals you've killed, but have you ever stuck a knife in the animal's throat to kill it?
Well, no, I've never done that. But
Do
one
you,
thing I have done, sorry, what were you saying?
no, I was going to say, do you think that you could do that?
Uh, Maybe if it came to that, but I really don't know.
Yeah, and that's I think that I'm with you. I don't, if I had to defend myself, but other than that, I mean, I could not do that on my own if I had a choice to not do that. And I mean, every day we have a choice not
Right,
to do that, or not to participate or contribute to those that are doing it. So, and I get, the the food at the supermarket, right? Like all that comes, and where that comes from is not good. And I think we agree that that's not what we want to be supporting, if we don't have to. And I can say that you don't have to, but sometimes it's unreasonable, right? We need to eat. We're out of restaurants, like there. But I'll
Right.
share that there's always from what we and I'm over here and we're down in Ohio now. There's going to be a restaurant that serves vegan options. I do not. Me and my son do not have to go at all and purchase any type of animals or any type of animal products, and it'll be delicious food. One of our key things that we go to is Chipotle, bean burrito. A lot of the things that we normally eat can all be made plant based. So to me, it's an easy switch to find those things that you already enjoy and to just choose a plant based option. So that's kind of where we landed. That's where we ended up, and we've been doing
Right.
that for 8 years. And so I find it very fascinating for talking to hunters and those that are able to kill animals or have killed animals, and just kind of explore what got you there, what how you feel when you kill that animal, and just knowing that it's just not necessary is something that I think that I really want a lot of people to explore, because
Yeah,
what
I understand what you're saying.
is there a good enough reason why you continue to do that? I think I watched one of your videos and you're talking about how you got this feeling right before you pull the trigger, but you're out there with your family. You were you were excited for this, and,
Yeah.
I could totally understand that. But I think that you can also have those same feelings and those same experiences with your family, just without needing or the need to kill an animal out there.
Right. I see what you're saying. And yeah, I'm not completely heartless as most people might think, but uh when I kill an animal, um like today I hunted deer with a bow, and
Like
I
today.
actually prefer, no, just this year.
Oh, okay.
And I actually like hunting with a bow better for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is with a gun, you can take a shot at like 100, 150 yards. With a bow, you have to get within like 70, 60 yards. So, in a way, I feel like that's more fair for the animal because it gives the animal a more chance to detect you. And when I found out that I got a tag for deer, I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. Like every time I got a spare hour off work, I would practice. Just so the day I step in front of that deer, I can end his life in a way that is quick and as painless as possible. And I kind of wrestle with it a little bit. It's like, yes, sometimes people make bad shots. Uh, Life isn't perfect, and neither is hunting, but I mean, I guess that doesn't justify anything. But I've wounded a deer before, not this year, and it's a horrible feeling. I would not wish upon my worst enemy. It's like at that point, you're not thinking like, oh, I'm not gonna have a freezer full of meat. I'm not gonna have a sweet skull mount. You start thinking about the animal. What does it mean for the animal? What does it mean for the universe? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there. You said you were toying with it a little bit, right? Like, what is it? What is it that you're toying with, or what is it that you're conflicted about that you think?
It's just like when I'm out there and I'm about to pull the trigger, I'm like, will this animal die quickly and with the least amount of suffering. And like the one I harvested was in an entire group. It was a herd, you know? And the one that I wanted was he was facing like dead on towards me. Like you don't want to shoot them like that because that's not where their vitals are. You want to shoot them probably right behind the shoulder because that's where their heart is, and it's just going to be quickly. Like with the deer that I harvested this year, it like I hit it and he ran for a couple seconds and went down. Like he died within the first couple seconds of being shot. But I
Okay.
understand that sometimes there is suffering involved, and sometimes there's no suffering involved. Sometimes the animal dies before he even knows what's going on.
And do you think that that's a good thing to do?
Uh, I think it's preferable than ending the animal's life in a way that is slow and agonizing. Yes.
I mean, how about not killing the animal at all? Would that be the most preferable?
Well, I suppose it would, except the thing is, we live in a world where something's gonna die. You know, just anything. Like the crops that vegans eat, they're using pesticides on the crops. Sorry, cut out for a bit. They're using pesticides on those crops, and there's a lot of farmers will hire hunters to go out and shoot prairie dogs off their crops. Like I think I remember one time when I was very little, my dad and my brother did that.
I, I would, I mean, that's not okay. I mean, I think that that's definitely not a good thing to do. And I don't think that that's necessary to shoot animals to protect crops. And I think you'll come across, I mean, if you heard of veganic farming, I mean, there are veganic farms out there that don't, kill or intend to kill any animals to grow their crops. And to me, I think it also comes down to, we talk about the rights violation, right? We're not intentionally, the people that grow the crops aren't intentionally killing the animals or their, pesticides, right? So it's kind of a defense mechanism. So essentially, I don't really see a problem with that. I certainly don't want any animal to die. I don't think any animal needs to die in order to grow crops or eat food. So I think that, even though a lot of people argue crop deaths and things, that's not I mean, it's not the intent to go out and kill the animals to make the crops. I mean, it's just it happens, although it's certainly not good. But I don't think that that means that justifies for us or other people to go out and kill animals and eat them.
Right. I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, um, due to pesticides and defensive shooting and stuff like that, I'm pulling up a source right now. It's saying that endangered species are becoming more of a thing due to pesticides. And I get that they're accidental deaths. I guess accidental deaths are uh, justified in a way. But if you think about it, um, with pesticides causing all these problems, uh, toxic rivers, uh, I'm reading a source right now, uh, that says they're threatening frog habitats and uh, sea otter habitats and stuff like that. And in a way, I feel like it can be tied back to uh, hunting for population control and uh, like, am I making sense here? Sorry.
No, no, yeah, it's cool. I mean, again, it's just discussion. I'm not trying to, I'm just, I like exploring this because I think I'm hearing, you know, I think we want to justify our actions and make it okay, and then kind of look at the other way and say, well, the other way is also bad. I think I would agree. I mean, pesticides are terrible, and they're toxic. You talk about getting into the environment. I mean, it's not good. It's certainly not a good thing when you look at it from that perspective. But I also think that it's certainly it just any way that you look at it, other than self-defense, going out and shooting and killing an animal that was not harming you, that was out there living their life, they have a family. It's just it doesn't make any sense or to kill that animal. I mean, you don't need to. You don't need to kill that animal to bring that meat back for your family. I get that it does provide sustenance and food for your family, but you've also just killed an animal. So that's where I really struggle, and I can't wrap my head around being able to have that to be a good enough justification to say, well, that animal died in a quick way, regardless of whether it's quick and painless. That animal did not deserve to die, and I think I want to explore the reason why. I really want to challenge the justifications of that, and you know, I haven't really heard a good enough justification that would require or that gives you a good enough reason to kill an animal. Other than, I mean, if you've grown up around your family and your grandparents, everybody around you is like, hey, Briggs, come with me. It's a great time, and got you involved in it, and you got excited, and then now you have this feeling around when you go out into the woods and prepare, and the night before, and you create all of these feelings that are awesome, right? They're awesome, but what's not awesome is the killing of the animal part. You can do all those things. I saw this one little clip about, go out and shoot an animal with a huge camera lens, right? They're beautiful, they're majestic. Why not shoot them with a camera, put their picture, a huge poster on your wall back home, and say, look at what we shot today. And then that animal is still living their life. They didn't get hurt. They didn't get harmed. They're not bleeding. They're not suffering. That to me sounds like a way better answer. And I mean, earlier you talk about spiritually. I mean, to me, that is kindness. That is what we want to be doing. We don't want to be go out and killing things, and when we don't have to. So that's where I really struggle, and I have a hard time understanding those that do. And and again, I appreciate you kind of talking about your experience and kind of what goes through your mind.
Right. So the whole thing about the um, meat isn't necessary, I've always found that kind of hard to understand because I feel like you could say that about any food product. Like strawberries, not necessary for our survival. Beyond Burgers aren't necessary for our survival. Um, and what you said about the whole camera thing, believe it or not, I do actually go out and I like to take pictures of elk and uh, deer and sometimes even coyotes. And coyotes even have a bounty in our state. They'll pay you $50 if you can prove to the Fish and Game that you killed a coyote. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One reason is they threaten farming, they threaten crop farming and livestock farming. They'll carry diseases, they kill people's pets, and in a way, you can see how that's sort of a good thing. And another thing about hunting is this is a very controversial topic, but hunting actually uh, helps out conservation a ton via tags and licenses and Pittman-Robertson Act. And what Pittman-Robertson Act was out in the 1900s, 1930s, 1940s. Uh, Before that time, hunting was a huge thing. Like everybody did it, and the idea that hunting tags and licenses didn't exist. Like if you wanted to hunt, you could go out and do it, and nobody would stop you. And that really took a toll on wildlife populations. So in 1930, the Pittman-Robertson Act and Dingell-Johnson Act came into play. What Pittman-Robertson Act is every time you buy a gun or a bullet or camo or trail cams, there'll be a 11% tax put on that item, and that tax will go to national parks, research projects, uh, and there's a lot of organizations out there that focus on these things. Like, I'm just going to give an example. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. I'm looking up their website right now. 89% of their members are hunters, and I'm reading from their website right now. Ensure the future of elk, other wildlife, and their habitat in our hunting heritage. So they have this whole thing where you can go and donate, and you can buy tags, licenses. They have events that you can go to. They have galas you can go to and donate money for conservation. They research elk. They make sure fences are safe for them. They build highway bridges. Those are like they go over a highway so elk can go over it instead of going across the road and not going to get hit by cars. And something that I always tell animal rights activists when I meet them is what is I admire and I care about the elk, but I care more about the idea of elk and the entire species of elk more than just the individual elk. And I can honestly assure any animal rights activist I've met that I know more about elk and their habitat and their behaviors than they ever will. And I get that knowledge through hunting for them, and I study them during the off season, and I even recognize um, elk that I've seen from last year's hunting. There's one that is living in one of my favorite hunting grounds right now. We call him Sam, He's been roaming around those parts for a while now, and you know it's Sam because he's missing his left eye, and everybody knows about him. And we've had a buck a while back named Hollywood, and they called him Hollywood because everybody knew about him, and he had these huge freaking mountain high antlers. And occasionally there'd be people hunting for him, and occasionally he did get hunted down. And a lot of times these bigger animals with the bigger antlers, they are mature, they are old, they're bullying smaller elk into not being able to breed anymore. They are pushing younger elk out of their herds, a bunch of stuff. So it is kind of good to take those ones out, you know?
If you were Sam or the other name that you mentioned, would you be okay with someone shooting you?
Well, no, but the thing is, these animals, they're out there in the wild. They're used to all these things coming at them, and uh, like mountain lions and wolves and bears. And for us coming after them, it's really nothing new. And I get that that doesn't justify it, but hunting, believe it or not, does do good. Uh, how would you feel about like feral hogs? Feral hogs, they tear up fences, they disrupt crop farming, all these horrible stuff. How would you feel about killing those animals?
Yeah, I don't want to kill any animals. I mean, those animals don't, right? They don't know what they're doing. That is their environment. That is where they live. In fact, we came into their environment, right? They were there first, essentially, and we come on and build properties and say that it's ours, and then now they're trespassing into our land, our property. But in reality, they don't know. They don't have the knowledge or intellect to know that they're coming across the line. Now they can be hunted around that property. So, no, I don't think that's a good thing. I think that there's definitely more non-lethal ways to prevent feral hogs. I mean, fences or deterrents or some other things instead of just relying and say, all right, we're just going to shoot them and kill them. I mean, again, back to the rights violation. I mean, we're taking their lives when we don't have to. It's not necessary, right? We're protecting our things, but to kill them, I don't find that to be a good thing. You talked about money, and all the money goes towards the environment. I mean, sure. I think that that's definitely a good. You can call it a goodish thing to take the money that they're using to essentially kill animals and kind of put it back into the animals. But it's just going to be a big circle, an evolving thing that just never ends, right? We continue to breed, in fact, animals into existence to be hunted, believe it or not. And I didn't realize this, but we actually breed deer. There's deer breeding facilities or locations where they'll breed deer or other animals and put them out for people to actually hunt and kill and take back their flesh for food. I mean, that we're doing that. We're doing that for sport. I mean, you call it for sport, but it's either way you look at it, it's still not necessary. So, like that to me, I mean, you can't really justify. Okay, well, yeah, hunting does good things, or it puts money into this pocket, but at the same time, we're talking about animals, like that individual animal's life, and it kind of caught me off guard when you mentioned that you don't look at it from the individual animal's perspective. You look at it from the totality of all of animals or all of the species. But that to me, I mean, the reason why you have all the species is every individual animal is what creates all the other animals. So you can't just say, oh, there's so many animals that a few don't matter. Well, it matters to that individual animal. And I think you would agree with that, because you said that you wouldn't want to be shot at. You wouldn't want to be hunted. And so if you can put yourself in their shoes, I think you would drop the weapon. I really would.
Right. So there's a couple things you mentioned. First of all, the whole thing with the animals don't know what they're doing and we came into their land. Uh, I do feel like that can be used to your argument with the animals that are killed with crop deaths. Like those animals, they don't know that they were in somebody's farm. They don't know that these crops belong to somebody. And to this whole deer farm thing, I'm pretty sure any hunter you ask will say that they don't like these deer farms. They
Okay. That's fair. I mean, you're against that. I didn't realize that they were out there, to be honest. I mean, and there's also places, and it might be around you, where they have helicopter rides where they have like machine guns hanging out the window, and you can pay $1,000 or whatever to go up in these helicopters and then machine gun down, these hogs or other animals that are running around. That to me is, I mean, obviously, I think you would agree that that's horrible and horrific, and not
right.
true hunting in a sense from
Yeah.
back from our history. And so I do appreciate you being honest here and kind of talking with me, and I'd like to continue these conversations. I know I'm running out of time here because we got to head to a game, but
Right.
I definitely want to keep these conversations going. I think we can explore a lot, and I think you can help educate us about kind of what your experiences are, and what your beliefs, and I think they might change, right? I think mine obviously has changed over time, and listening to some of the things you say, I mean, it gives me different perspective for sure, and also the audience
hmm
too. I mean, I'm sure people will come across this and hear your perspective and agree with you, and maybe have differences. So it's all good. I mean, it's all a good thing. I like the fact that you're kind of thinking, and some you don't have all the answers, which I don't either. But I do know that if I could share anything, I mean, if looking at it from the other person's or other animals' perspective, it really helps me indicate what's good and what's bad. And I think you can argue, or kind of argue each way, that it's a good thing in some cases, or if you look at it from this
Right.
perspective. But if you look at it from the animal's perspective, anytime an animal or an individual gets killed when it's not necessary, I think is always going to be wrong. I don't know how else to look at that. And so that's what I really struggle with hunting. And I get it. I understand it. I mean, we grew up in a society where it's, food and eating animals is normalized, and it's made to believe that it's necessary. But what I found, I mean, 8 years in, my entire family, all vegan. We quit eating animals. We quit eating dairy, eggs, everything. And we are still very strong, very healthy. And it's been super fun to learn different foods to eat and have conversations like this, because I didn't grow up. I didn't know one vegan when I was growing up. I didn't know one vegan. I didn't know that it was even possible until I was over 30 years old. So, I think anyone out there, just keep continuing to learn and be open to exploring different ways, right? Including you, Briggs. I mean, it sounds like you're open to hearing, and you're listening, and you're not combative. And it's also, I think, on my end too, I've come across a lot of vegans or animal rights activists where like, oh, you're wrong, this is terrible. You're doing,
Right.
but there's more than that. I think we can explore and have conversations that can lead us to make a better decision or better, understanding of where we are coming from. So, for that, I appreciate it. And,
Hmm.
hoping we can continue these. I'm not sure what your schedule is, but we're in Ohio here. I got a couple games to go to. I'll be back. Then we got another game. I'll be back later on tonight too. So we'll be more than happy to jump on again, and maybe we can talk about specific topics to kind of keep on track, or kind of let it go just how it was this session. What do you think?
I think that sounds good. Um, yeah, I'll take a look at my schedule, but as far as I know, I think I'm all good, maybe.
Okay, cool. And I mean, obviously, got your number, and I could text, and we could hey, if you're good, we jump on and have a conversation. But I do have maybe 5 or so minutes left, so just kind of want to conclude, or kind of what you kind of want to leave me with, or um, just kind of give it over to you.
All right. So I completely understand people who don't want to eat meat. They don't want to eat dairy. They don't want to eat eggs. I completely understand that. They don't want to cause harm to a living thing. But it's like what you said earlier. A lot of vegans can be combative and stuff like that. And to me, I personally don't see anything wrong with being vegan at first, but it's like a lot of vegans, they'll go into a supermarket, just start yelling all these things to literally people who have basically nothing to do with it, just like probably just a single teenager mom who's just trying to get by working at a supermarket. And it's like if a Christian went into went to a event or something and started yelling all these things at people and saying like you're a Satanist, you are going to hell if you don't uh, come to our church. It's like if Christians were acting that way, I don't think anybody would want to join their church, you know? And like I get that meat eaters tend to be a bit uh combative and they can be uh a-holes too, you know?
Yeah, let me just respond on one. I think those people, those activists that are screaming. I mean, they are so passionate about and what their call it mission is. They see things as like we're killing billions of animals. I mean, when you
Yeah.
actually when I turn vegan, and you actually think about the if you go on killclock.com, I think it is, it shares with you how many animals are killed per second, and as you're on the web page, the number just exponentially just continues to go. I mean, we kill 90 billion animals every single year. I mean, this is extraordinary. So I think you'll meet some people that are like true activists that go in, and I'll be honest, right? We need those activists, right? That's their calling. That's what I'm going to say that they feel they need to do to share to get the word out. Because once and you're just like, oh my gosh, you're walking around and there's all these dead animals around, and everyone's acting like it's normal. Now, it is normal because of for I'm gonna say for years I mean, everybody's doing it. Everybody's walking around. I mean, they see dead bodies. They have lobsters in little fish tanks, and I mean, we're like dead bodies everywhere, and it's hard for some people. And I'll say it's not the most effective way to communicate animal rights, but it is a way. And I'm sure that when some people hear those, oh my gosh, and they have no idea that what's happening, and then that causes them to go look at the information and learn about what's happening to the animals in slaughterhouses and the things that we're contributing and our money's going towards. I think that helps, right? That certainly helps. So you got both sides of things. I think more conversations like this are better. That's more effective. I think people that come across this can hear, call it a hunter and a vegan animal rights activist having a conversation and kind of meeting at a common ground, right? You're not going to get me to ever say that it's okay to kill an animal for when it's not necessary. I'm not going to do that. I think that that's,
All right. I
you know,
understand. Yeah.
now at the same time, I hear, why you kill animals and what goes through your head. And as we continue to explore that and conversate about that, it may change, it may not, but either way, I do think it's good perspective, and everybody is different. Everyone has different backgrounds and came up different ways. So I think that's valuable, and I think that helps lead us in a direction, one way or the other. And I think it's helped people to understand and get more information on, what to look at. And I'm hoping that people do look into the information and look at, what we're talking about, and then come to their own conclusions. Because I'm not forcing anybody to be vegan, right? No one can force other person to be vegan. But what we can do is share the information, share our thoughts, share our experiences, and you have to come to your own conclusion.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like these vegan activists, they have good meaning to them, like all these things that happen in factory farming, and they're not great. And I agree with them personally, but I feel like what you said is not the best way to communicate. It's like that's why there's so many memes online and stuff that like making fun of vegans. It's because like every time they walk by a plant-based alternative, all those videos of like a certain vegan TikToker who shall remain unnamed uh, went to a butcher and like went to the butcher topless and started playing slaughterhouse noises. I feel like every time somebody walks by a plant-based alternative, all those videos start going through their head of all those vegan activists.
yeah, I mean, that's fair, but it still doesn't change the fact of what's actually happening and the reality of the situation, which those animals are getting killed, and people that do eat those are purchasing them and are contributing to them, right? It's the supply and
Right,
demand. So, indirectly, we're taking part in killing animals, which most people agree that it's not a good thing, and it's a terrible thing that we're continuing to do. Yet we continue to do it, and that's my challenge. Is that if you do in fact believe or think that it's wrong to kill animals if it's unnecessary, you're conflicted, right? There's a contradiction there, and that's where the cognitive dissonance comes into play. And it's like, well, it's so good, it tastes so good, but yet it's so wrong, and I don't agree with it, but I'm going to eat it anyway. But it's bad. And so constantly, every single day, every single meal, we know that it's wrong, but yet we're contributing to it, right? And I think that
right.
that looking at the mere fact of killing an animal when it's unnecessary, you can, like, that's wrong. If I just state that context, it's wrong. Would you agree?
Yeah, like
But
I do agree that sometimes I do agree that killing an animal is wrong,
when it's
and that
unnecessary,
yeah,
right?
right,
If you're being attacked by a bear, the deer comes charging at you and will kill you or your family or the people you love, you have every right to kill and shoot that animal or whatever is coming at you. Now,
yeah,
when that animal is eating grass and frolicking around, now you go ahead and shoot and kill that animal. That to me is wrong. Even if you say justify and say, well, it's helping population. Well, that animal would have had a terrible, gruesome death, or now my family gets to eat, clean food, yada yada. But that animal's rights were violated. And that to me is wrong because they have experiences just like us, and they should be on the moral, consideration of they are living, they experience, they should not feel pain, nor should they have their life taken away.
Right. I do see what you're saying. Like, killing an animal is bad, and when it's unnecessary, and it shouldn't be a thing. But in a way, I kind of see it as it's like it may be killing one animal, or maybe a lot of animals, but there is ethicality to it, believe it or not. Like, in hunter safety, we were taught three things. Before you take the shot in an animal, is it safe? Is it ethical? And is it legal? And with the whole ethical part, I watched this one vegan activist named David Rams who said, "Oh, they're gonna go shoot this animal in the head." And I always kind of laugh when they say shooting the animal in the head. The problem with that is we don't shoot him in the head because if we miss by an inch in any direction, we could hit him in the mouth. We're going to hit him in the antlers and knock him out. We hit him in the mouth, they're just going to either bleed out or starve to death. And nothing wants to die that way. I would definitely prefer a bullet to that.
But you'd prefer no bullet, correct?
Yeah, right.
That's where I'm at. So, I mean, you can say that it's quick and painless and it's safe. I mean, it's not safe for the animal for sure, right? You're just looking out for your own safety. So again, we're not putting ourselves in the other's shoes or the animal's perspective. And that to me is where it should stay. I mean, it has to be, looking at it from their perspective. And then the ethics. I say maybe we kind of table it because I'm gonna have to head off here. But I think maybe next conversation is really about the ethics of hunting, and I think I'd like to explore that with you if you're cool with that. And
All right.
We can just kind of at least stay on that topic for a little bit, and then maybe see where it goes. But I think we had a couple viewers. We had some comments here already. But I think so. Obviously, this is good, man, and this will stay up here. I think we should keep having these, little episode series. Again, appreciate you, taking your time to talk and discuss this. We've been on for about an hour now, so about hour conversation. Yeah. I feel like this was good. I think we still got a lot to explore, Briggs, man, a lot to explore. And I'm excited though, man.
I like it too.
Me too. So again, man, appreciate you. I don't know, the first one didn't work out, but we made it work. I think this phone thing works out well. So again, man, Briggs, thank you for your time. And
of course,
we'll look to do this again soon. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great day, man. We appreciate you, and we'll talk a little bit later.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right, buddy. See ya.
Yep.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was it. That was Briggs. I got to head out of here, too. We're cutting it close. Yeah, Briggs, thanks for the conversation. This will stay up here. Appreciate your comments. Let me just add a couple comments here that what you see. Vegan Poetry said, like Jeffrey Dahmer felt spiritually starved when he wasn't killing people. That's a good point. We didn't talk about that. At least he's being honest-ish. I felt like Briggs was honest. I mean, he's being honest. Destruction of life is what it is. I mean, yeah, maybe. Militants are often funded by George Soros types. And then what's another one? Wonder if hunters have vision of carcasses dancing in their heads the night before a kill session. I don't know, man. We can ask them, though. All right, guys, appreciate you joining, and we will see you later on today. Have a great, fantastic day. Peace.